What's up? In this episode of MPTV, we're going to talk with Catherine Picard of Fatty's. It's week 2 of our 4-week Fatty's Marathon. Fatty's Smokehouse. This drive-thru didn't exist pre-COVID as a drive-thru. There was a place where the bands played on a little deck. We're going to talk about how they transitioned their business with no dine-in to a lot of drive-thru and not only survived, but thrived. We're also going to talk about how she brings zero restaurant experience to the restaurant, but she brings a lot of medical experience and how they transfer that to help be operationally smooth in the kitchen. Let's check it out. Here we are, episode 2, MPTV. We're back with Fatty Nation. Last week we got to interview your husband. Now we're back with the better. It was a pleasure. Now we're back with the better half. So introduce yourself, tell us about yourself, tell us a little bit of your background.
Well, I'm Catherine Picard. I have no restaurant experience whatsoever. I'm a clinical pharmacist here in Oklahoma. I do have some restaurant experience in my family though. So my dad was a chef. Okay. And then my grandma worked in the cafeteria for 40 years. So it's in my genes.
It's in your genes.
I just didn't choose it as a career.
So you, your husband, and his brother decided to get together and create Fatty Nation, Fatty Smokehouse here in Moore, Oklahoma. And from what I hear from Brian, you bring a different mindset, a different look, because you're a lot more analytical thinker. Tell us about some things that you've noticed your first year in the restaurants. I'm sure there's a lot of spouses out there that are involved in the restaurant business, you know, male or female, that aren't restaurant people. Right. But come with a different mindset because from the medical world. So what are some things you've seen your first year?
Well, the number one thing as far as just being like the restaurant spouse is you have to leave it here. Okay. So you can't take it home. It's good to brainstorm at home, but anything that happens here that is a little too energetic to discuss at home needs to stay here. Yeah. But as far as comparing it to the medical world, I worked in operating room for a long time. Okay. And so having your head chef versus the surgeon, and then the delineation of the roles within that, every piece of the puzzle working together, the stress level, everybody plays an essential role. It's actually very similar, just minus a lot of cussing, and well, not always, but and then also, like, I'm a pharmacist, so I multitask for a living. So that's come in handy here between working the register and the phone's ringing and running to the back and having to learn how to work different things. So that's been really helpful.
Now, Brian was telling me a story the other day that you went back and worked the burgers for the first time. And you dealing with one of the team members, the team member liked the fact that you were there wanting to learn what was going on. What was that like, and kind of taking something on, because obviously you're not in the restaurant business, right? But now you're working the burgers. What was your goal with that? What did you want to see, and what did you hope to get out of that?
I mean, I love learning. It doesn't matter if it's school or something like I run, so learning different running routes or strategies. So coming here and like just dropping the ego and being willing to train and learn things that are new. I mean, you can always use it. Yeah. So it was, I don't know, it's fun. Yep. It's fun.
So in the restaurant business, what are a couple things you see that you can foresee in the future, making better or changing or tweaking? What are things that you see that in the medical world are so organized? Right. Because I mean, obviously it's a different pedigree to get in that operating room than it is a kitchen. Right. What are some things you see there that you know that you can impact in the future?
I think the biggest thing is there's always one rate limiting step or person. So in barbecue, I'm guessing for the most part, it's the person that's cutting the meats, so the board guy. So if they're slow, nothing else can happen past that. And they do studies in hospitals and pharmacies where they will film you for a shift, and then they see what like repetitive motion is limiting your production, right? So sometimes I look at it back there and I think, oh, so-and-so has reached for something that is way out of the way 20 times, and that took 5 seconds each time, which, okay, it's not that long, but over an entire day, that could be way more efficient. So just things like that just process related, I think I can help with that a lot.
Have you seen the movie Founder?
No.
Oh, you ought to watch it. So it's on Netflix. It's about McDonald's.
Oh, I have seen it.
Okay.
I watched it with Mark, yes.
And that same thing what you just described there was I remember him going in there, and early in that episode, the show, they had him in a parking lot taping things off and showing how things could move.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's super important, and I think people don't think about it. Like it's sort of casually addressed sometimes, but you have to think of it over a 10, 12-hour span. You know, how many times is that repetitive motion being done, or how many seconds is it adding to the whole process, and how does it trickle out to everybody else?
Yeah.
So.
Now, from the operations side, you've got Brian handles more of some of the, I guess maybe the front of the house, or you know, the marketing aspect of who I deal with from a marketing standpoint, some of the business stuff. Mark is in the back, making sure the food is amazing, which it is. What is your role on the day-to-day, or what do you hope to bring to that equation? Because you all three have different scopes.
Yes. So I mean, I work my full-time job normally, so I can't feasibly be here every day. Pretty sure I'm everyone's favorite because I do payroll. So I do payroll. I take care of like the insurance, so keeping up with those deadlines. And then I really enjoy coming in, like working the burgers. I like to learn every single station, and I love it when they just call me in and say, hey, you know, so-and-so called in, can you come fill in as expo? And it's that chaos of like working in the ICU and the operating room. It's that same kind of like staying calm during the storm, and then when it's done, like feel like a team. So I enjoy that. So just kind of being a fill-in and you know, just being able to do whatever they need.
Okay, break time. Restaurateurs, it's Matt. And if you're watching MPTV, you're obviously interested in improving your business. What if I told you could finally take the hope and pray out of your marketing plan and spend money and see results? You see, most marketing starts with the same exact tactic. You gain the attention of somebody, but that's where the majority of it stops. What we do with the ROI engine is help you gain amazing attention, which drives gigantic engagement. That engagement leads to customers to tell us who they are, meaning they opt into your email, text, and birthday program, and then we drive them to buy something. We've got a lot of great programs that can help you, and we'd love to have a conversation with you. If you're interested, it's easy. Check out ROIexperts.net. You can schedule an appointment, and we'll hop on a call with you. Worst case scenario, you learn how to market your restaurant like you've never heard of before. Back to the action.
What were your thoughts when this conversation happened a year or two ago about doing the restaurant?
Please no. Please no. We're just so busy, and it's all you can think is, but it was their dream.
Yeah.
And truthfully, I wasn't opposed to it, but it's a lot to take on. Like I said, like it ran in my family a little bit, so I get the drive for it, and I know it's their dream, so, you know.
So talking about chaos, you, year into the business, pandemic hits, and you've got to shift some things. What made it? Because you're at your business, you obviously, like everybody, had a week or two of figuring it out.
Right.
But then you crushed it. And you've done phenomenal. I deal with hundreds of restaurants, and I've seen some do great, I've seen some do terrible, I've seen some go out of business. What do you think was a big component that allowed you all to pivot so quick with making this behind us a drive-through again and no more dine-in?
Right. Part of it is transparency. So we weren't afraid. We weren't sitting there spending our time brainstorming going, how can we hide the higher brisket prices? Or how can we hide the fact that we're opening a drive-thru, but we don't want it to be a drive-thru. We want it to be a pickup window. So we were just honest with people, and that made it easier to solve the problems. Like, you didn't have that extra element of trying to cover anything up necessarily.
Yeah.
And I think we all sort of just, in the beginning, decided, like, this is going to be crazy, and we are just going to roll with the flow, and we don't really have another choice.
Yeah, I think
I don't know how else to survive.
On the transparency part, I saw those videos, and you're one of the few brands I saw do that. I mean, you didn't see people coming out and saying, hey, our prices are higher and here's why.
Right.
I mean, people were trying to put window dressing on everything. What did you hear feedback from customers on those? What were some of the things you heard back from that?
Oh, they loved it. I mean, you know, they don't love the higher prices.
Oh, yeah.
But nobody likes surprises. Even when I worked retail pharmacy for a while, nobody likes a surprise copay that's higher than they expect. Yeah. So if you walk in prepped, okay, you're not happy about it, but at least you know. Yeah. And the staff, I think, was actually very grateful, so that we don't have our cashiers and they feel pressured to be the one to break the news to them. That's not fair to them. So we can take the heat. There's a sign out, everybody's informed, and so they felt, you know, more comfortable.
That's an angle I hadn't thought of. You're exactly right.
I don't want to put them in that position.
Yeah. Especially the employees, they already got stress going on. It's not their expertise dealing with customers in that manner. And all of a sudden somebody's coming in and like, why is this price?
Right.
Yeah, it does take the pressure. So as you come out of the pandemic, do you see the drive-through keeping an equation, or I guess the pickup more, because it's not really a drive-through in a manner. Do you see that staying in the business? Do you see that going away?
I think it's going to stay. I think people have kind of, even I use like the food delivery services more now, and I think, oh, that's so convenient. Or I use the apps more when I go to places. This is pretty convenient just to roll through and pick up your food. And I mean, it increases our cost a little bit on the to-go containers and things, but I think it's going to stay. The people love convenience.
Yeah.
So.
What's the future? What do you see in the future of Fatty Nation? What are some things that excite you, or things that you see that are going to be a year or two down the road?
I would love to do a food truck.
Okay.
I think that would be so fun to work, like take it down to the parks or, outside of the busy stores. I know Brian and Mark kind of have like the idea of opening 1 or 2 more stores in their head. For me, food truck and something as far as like Amazon or selling our sauces and our product, I think would be really cool to build like a big brand and be able to do that. It'd be nice if we were big enough to do like charity type things.
Yeah.
I have this little dream of having a Fatty's like half marathon. I think that'd be really cool.
Love it.
Yeah. I'm sure he'd make me run in a pig costume the whole or something. But I think like a Fatty's race, like or even a little 5K just local to do a charity thing would be really neat to have it like start from the restaurant.
I helped coordinate a beer run with a client of ours. And it was kind of comical when we first started looking at it. I'm like, I haven't run a half marathon in a while, but I've run half marathons, 5Ks. And I'm like, are people going to actually do that? Like drink on the way, drink before, drink after? And sure enough,
Yes,
like
they
5,000 people showed up. And it was a madhouse. And it turned out to be a really great marketing. It also was a great way for them to give back to the community.
Restaurant owners, did you know Matt has free online marketing courses that teach you how to successfully market your restaurant? Email support@mattplapp.com to get access to the courses and a free social media content calendar.
Okay, so the hot seat. I always ask one question. What is a piece of advice? You're talking to another owner-operator, a general manager of a restaurant, and they say, hey, what's something you would tell them, hey, if you consistently do this or keep this in your head for the next couple of years, it'll help you grow a little easier, a little quicker?
You can't take things personally. Just like when I go to my day job, I have a physician that's screaming at me for something, or the surgeon. They just want their patient to get better. So no one here comes to work, hopefully, thinking, I hope I do a terrible job today and make everybody mad. So you can't take it personal when somebody's asking you to prioritize something or moves you off your station because like you just can't handle it that day. Or, don't take it personally. It's all for the betterment of the flow of the restaurant and just the business in general. The minute you start taking it personal, you're gonna be miserable.
Well, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your time. You're
Yeah,
step
thank
2
you.
of step 3 of Fatty's.
All right.
Next week, we've got the brother Mark of Brothers Picard. And then week 4 of Fatty's, we've got a road trip. We went on today all the way to Tulsa and had some great conversations. So thank you, Catherine.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.